Ideas worth sharing. That's what TEDx calls them. And I think that's, it's not just a good name for a set of presentations or lectures. It's, like it's a good idea. It's an idea worth sharing. To have ideas worth sharing. I want you to think for a moment about the concept of be fruitful and multiply. What is it really saying? Yes, it's more than live long and prosper, and yes, it's more than just go make a bunch of babies. It's about being productive and reproducing your success. That's called a legacy. But see, there are certain cultures and societies where if you're not part of the in culture, if you're not part of the in society, there are things that you just never learn. Things that you don't know because you're not part of that in culture, that in society. There are ways of thinking, as an example. If you listen in politics, you'll hear them say, well, inside the Beltway, they think like this. And what they mean is there's a clique or a culture or a certain way of thinking that is almost incestuous. I don't want to say that in a negative connotation, but the way that familial ideas stay within the family, thought processes in the Beltway, in the nation's capital of America, those thought processes, they get regurgitated over and over and over again, and they kind of become a way of doing things that nobody else can compete with, and nobody else can participate in unless you're in the Beltway. It's a really fascinating process, but there are family cultures where a family has a tradition and they're very much the same way. They're kind of in the Beltway in their thinking. They stay within their circle. There's a certain way that they handle finance, a certain way that they handle their neighbors, certain family secrets that they keep to themselves. Hollywood has a very, very strict culture that if you mess up and offend someone, that conversation gets spread very quickly. It's an idea worth spreading, and it may not be a good thing for you, it may not be a good thing for your idea. The automotive industry, I mean, we had just maybe 8-10 years ago, had a movie that came out that talked about a guy who created a beautiful car. It was a powerful car. It was very efficient. It was very safe. It had headlights that actually turned when you turned the steering wheel. I believe it was the early Edsel, a car company that went nowhere. Why? Because he offended people within the culture of the automotive industry. They protect their own. Be fruitful and multiply is about being productive in a way that you get to set the rules. You get to determine how things are going to happen. When a conquering nation comes in to take over, the conquering nation resets the rules. The conquering nation determines the economic policy. The conquering nation decides what the currency will be. The conquering nation determines what the primary form of government will be. The conquering nation makes all those rules. And be fruitful and multiply was really about resetting the kingdom idea within the earthly culture. It was about taking a government structure that the world had never seen, about taking a way of doing things, a way of treating people, a way of producing success and producing wealth and reproducing that generation after generation after generation after generation after generation by teaching them good habits, by teaching them the way of saying things, the way of thinking about each other, the way of thinking about money, the way of thinking about people. And be fruitful and multiply is about us teaching our children to follow the things that have been successful for us, but also realizing we make mistakes. We need to be certain that we pass on the genes, the traits, the conversations, the ideas worth sharing that are productive, that are beneficial, that are successful, so that as we multiply our culture, our society, our successes, that's what follows us, not our failures, our mistakes, and our tragedies. My challenge for you today here on Leading Leaders Podcast is Go, be fruitful and multiply. Be productive. Grow your business, grow your family, grow your economy, and grow yourself. I'm J Loren Norris, and you've been watching Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.